Ciao, I will be cooking an aubergine roll today. You might be wondering, what's that? You might be wondering, right, because I've never cooked one before. I'm starting by slicing a couple of aubergines, and I'm doing each slice 1 centimeter thick. And I'm using a bread knife, as I always say, they're the safest to use, but be very careful. Couple of oven trays. I've lined them up with some baking paper already, and I'll place my aubergines on top of the paper. I will be placing a little oil on top of one side of the aubergine, but I will use a little brush so that I don't use too much. Just go along and brush it gently, and do not be tempted to put too much, because aubergines, they love olive oil. Only do one side, no need to do the other side, I'll explain later, but I will be sprinkling a little salt on top as well, just a little to make them sweat. And I'll place them in the oven at the temperature of 200 degrees for approximately 20 minutes until they're lovely and brown. If you've got a normal oven, 200 degrees will also be fine. By normal I mean not fun, conventional. It should be very similar. In the meantime, I'll show you the rest of the ingredients, and I'll start by slicing some tomatoes, and these are extra special tomatoes because they come from Julie's garden.
Ta-da! Everybody, look at them babies. I'm quite pleased with them, I must say. Bearing in mind, I think these ones actually just were from a tomato I'd bought at the supermarket and got the seeds from, so they were nothing spectacular, but they taste lovely.
I'll start with a couple. I might add one or two more, but I will slice them very, very thinly, as these will be rolled with my aubergines later. I'll place them inside a bowl, a little olive oil to start marinating them, a little pinch of oregano,
Or a big pinch.
pinch of salt and pepper. I'll also pinch a few leaves of fresh basil, very rough chop with a knife, and I will add them in as well. And mix everything together and leave them to marinate while the aubergines cook. Other ingredients I'll be using, by the way, while we are at it, is going to be, I've got some Parmesan cheese. I will also be using some ricotta, and this is a fresh mozzarella, which again I've sliced very, very thinly. And I've got here some ham. It's not an essential ingredient, ham. If you want to stick to a vegetarian, strictly vegetarian version, you can actually just not put any ham. It will be delicious, but we fancy some ham in ours today.
Gives it a bit of oomph, doesn't it?
Oomph. Good word. Nearly forgot, sorry, some breadcrumbs. That will be at the very end. I'll be using a few breadcrumbs as well.
Oh, bless him, you can tell he's a bit poorly. He's caught the lurgy on the plane on the way home from Sicily, I think.
Yes, and you need to be extra nice to me.
Yes, I will.
And the aubergines are ready, and they've been out of the oven for 5 minutes, and you'll see that they're nice and bendy, which of course is ideal when I'm going to be rolling them. New piece of baking paper on the worktop, and the side where I've placed the olive oil goes on the top, as this will be the inside of my roll. And I'm positioning my aubergine next to one another.
Like in a top to tail fashion.
Top to tail, maybe, so that I've got only a few gaps in between. And I'll do this side as well, but I'll make sure that there is a little overlap where they meet. And any of these small pieces you can use to just patch any of the gaps. Like this one, for example. And of course, any stragglers where they're surplus, you can eat them. I'm now going back with my hands and pressing it down so that I get a nice compacted surface. Now we're going to be pretending we're making a pizza, so I'll start with the mozzarella first. But I will keep a good inch away from the edges all the way around. And remember to press it down every time you put some ingredients. Julie's magic tomatoes next go on top of my mozzarella, and a couple of medium-sized tomatoes was the perfect quantity. Ricotta next. You do not have to put ricotta, but I think it will add a different type of flavor on top of the mozzarella, and why not?
Why not indeed?
A little sprinkle of Parmesan cheese all over everything. That means that we've got 3 types of cheese. And I'll finish the masterpiece with a nice couple of pieces of ham. And I use that as an opportunity to press it down so that I don't get my hands covered in ricotta. Time to roll the aubergines. So I'm using the baking paper to help me.
It'll be easier once you get going, won't it?
Yeah, once you get going it should be easier. That's why it's important that where the aubergines meet, you've got a nice little overlap, otherwise they'll fall apart. My roll is nearly done. The next task is to remove the paper without spoiling it. So I'm going to try and pull it from under here while I hold it. Perfect. Couple of dessert spoon of breadcrumbs.
Heaped, known as.
Parmesan cheese. Pinch of salt. Pepper. And a little basil which I have previously chopped very finely. And I'll mix everything together. I'm pouring a little olive oil on top of my aubergine now, and using my hands I make sure that it's all over the surface, and I'm sprinkling some of my breadcrumbs. That will also help the breadcrumbs binding everything together a little. I'm going to use a spatula and I'll flip it the other way around, and I'll put some breadcrumbs underneath as well. I'll get hold of one of the original baking tray. You do not need to use more paper. And assuming you make this dish, I would highly recommend that you use a couple of spatulas like I'm doing to lift it in place. Gently remove one, gently remove the other. One final touch with my hand to make sure that it's in place. I'm going to pick up all of my breadcrumbs and just sprinkle it on top. And before it goes in the oven, one last drizzle of olive oil. You can be a little bit more generous this time. Now, how long for? I don't know. I'll lower the temperature though to 180 fan oven, 200 normal conventional oven. But I'll start with 20 minutes and then I will let you know once it's out if it's any longer or any less. But I don't think it's going to be any less. So see you in about 25 minutes. And there it is, just out of the oven, and I will leave it to rest now for a good 40 to 45 minutes. I want it to be nice and firm so that I can slice it, so I'll see you in a little while. And having rested for a little while, good 40 minutes, I can see that it's nice and solid, so I'm able to put my spatulas underneath, and let's see if I can just move it without the paper.
I need the cheese, can't leave the cheese behind.
Can you hold it down please with one hand? There you go, I do need an assistant. And in a plate it goes. And one very, very final drizzle of olive oil on top now. This is raw, of course. Let's see what it's like. And I'm using a bread knife again, as it is much easier. Oh, that looks good. Look at that, Julie.
Oh yeah, it does. Very nice.
You can see that I'm having no problems whatsoever in slicing it. That is because it's rested for a good 45 minutes. Were you to do immediately out of the oven, it would just go all over the place. And also it will taste quite nice because once it rests and it's tepid, you will be able to taste all of the ingredients much, much better. And here is a nice full slice.
Wow, look at that. Very nice.
Beautiful. And more importantly, time to taste it now.
Definitely.
That is gorgeous. Really nice. The ricotta, the mozzarella, the parmesan, the three cheeses together, beautiful. And the ham, of course. It's really good, and also because it's not hot anymore, it's actually tepid, you can taste everything, and I would say wait, it's definitely worthwhile. Thank you, ciao ciao, and see you later, bye.